The sea looks endless, calm, and harmless when you stand at its edge. But that illusion disappears the moment you understand that the sea is not just water, it is memory itself, holding every secret ever swallowed beneath its surface. Because long before maps were drawn and names were given to places, the sea existed, watching silently as humans came and went, taking from it without ever asking what it wanted in return. And in a forgotten coastal village, where life depended entirely on fishing, the people believed the sea was generous and blind, a source that could never run out. So they built their lives around it, raised children beside it, buried their dead near it, and never once considered that the sea might be listening. But there was one man, an aging fisherman whose hair had turned the color of salt, and whose eyes carried the weight of too many sunsets, who warned them that the sea does not rage without reason and does not take without remembering. Yet his words were brushed aside as superstition until the night a young fisherman named Jonah sailed out alone, chasing profit rather than patience, ignoring the uneasy stillness of the air and the unnatural way the moon reflected off the water like a warning sign written in silver. And when the storm arrived suddenly, violent and brief, Jonah's boat vanished without debris, without sound, leaving behind only questions. And although the sea calmed by morning as if nothing had happened, the village felt different, heavier, as if the air itself carried grief, because from that night on the waves sounded closer, not louder but intimate, like breath near the ear. And fishermen began to notice small things, nets returning tangled in strange patterns, compasses drifting off course, familiar waters feeling unfamiliar. And some swore they heard whispers woven into the rhythm of the tide, not cries for help but echoes, repeating Jonah's name as though the sea was practicing remembrance. And fear slowly replaced routine as boats stayed closer to shore. Children were called inside before sunset, and conversations lowered when night approached, while the old fisherman simply sat by the rocks and listened, explaining to anyone willing to hear that the sea does not kill out of anger, but collects pieces of those who forget humility, storing them not as punishment, but as proof. Because the sea remembers who enters with respect and who enters with greed. And when a child once asked him whether Jonah was dead, the old man answered that death implies an ending, and the sea rarely gives endings. And on a quiet evening when the horizon burned orange and the wind fell completely still, the old fisherman stood up, pushed his boat into the water, and sailed out without nets or lanterns, disappearing gently into the darkness. And the next morning his boat returned alone, resting on the shore like a message without words, after which the village slowly emptied, houses collapsing, paths erasing, names fading from memory, while the sea remained unchanged, patient, eternal. And even now travelers claim that if you stand on that abandoned shore long enough and listen past the sound of the waves, you may hear something unsettling, not a scream, not a warning, but your own name, spoken softly as if the sea recognizes you. And when that happens, the wisest thing you can do is remain silent, because the sea is not inviting you forward. It is reminding you that nothing taken is ever truly gone, that every step into its depths is recorded, and that the sea, above all else, never forgets.